Hello Flosstube, my name is Leann and I am leann.stitches here on YouTube and on Instagram. You can also find me on Instagram and Facebook as Forbidden Fiber Co. It has been a really long time since I have filmed a Flosstube. This year just really got away from me. Just crazy busy all the time. One of those seasons in life, I guess. And then, you know, the longer you stay away from Flosstube, the harder it is to come back because you just feel like there's so much that you want to share, and it's just, yeah. But I figured that I would start over today, which is Wednesday, January 1st, 2024, with a WIP parade. I have a really wide variety of projects. Last year, I decided to UFO quite a few of my full coverage projects that I wasn't really interested in stitching anymore. Mostly just because my style had changed, and I thought that meant I would come back today with less projects. However, that's not the case. I kind of got into a start frenzy fueled by a new chat group that I'm in on Instagram with a lot of full coverage stitchers. So I have a lot of new things to show you and I'm really excited. But it's a lot, and I've got about an hour till I have to leave to take my daughter to a sleepover, so let's just get started. My first project, as always, my oldest WIP, is Marvel Heroes. I bought this from a seller on Etsy who is no longer there. I started it on February 26th, 2020, and I did a lot on this year. It's one of those pieces for me that's hard for me to make a lot of progress on. It is not Pattern Keeper compatible, and there's a lot of confetti, so it takes some concentration and it takes a lot of time. I have it on a roller frame, so I'm gonna unroll it, and there it is. Try to put it over here so I can do a comparison. I stitched 10,396 stitches on this. I went from 50% to 60.01%. I have a goal of finishing this by the end of 2026 to give to my husband for Christmas. So next year I'm aiming to stitch about 18,000 stitches or 1,500 stitches per month. We'll see how it goes. Like I said, this one kind of can kill my stitchy bug because it takes a lot of concentration. And 1,500 stitches on this one is a lot. So we'll see. The next piece I have to show you is the Words to Live By SAL by Tiny Modernist. I started this on May 5th, 2020. It was part of my very first mania, and I did not stitch on this at all this year, despite having a goal to finish it. It just, like I said, the year got away from me. I love it though. I love the colors on this. Oh, Marvel Heroes is stitched 2/1 full cross on 16 count easy grid, never remember what that's called, Aida. This one is stitched 2/2 on 32 count even weave. It's a mystery fabric. It was one of the first fabrics I dyed when I was learning to dye fabric. The closest color would probably be charcoal. I still would like to finish it. I don't have a plan yet. I'm still kind of working on my plans for 2025. So we'll see. The next piece I have to show you is Sea Glass by Carolyn Manning. I started this on June 6th, 2020 as part of a Manic Manning SAL, and I'm pretty sure I've got to be the only one left who hasn't finished yet. I'm stitching this on, I think it's called Silver Moon. It's a 14 count Aida, and I didn't stitch on this at all last year again. It wasn't really in my plans for the year. However, I would like to start moving this towards a finish. It's at 24.23% right now. I've got about 20,000 stitches left, but because it's all blocky, it's lots of block stitching, it goes really fast. So I think that if I just try to stitch on it a couple of times, I can make some good progress and maybe start leaning for a finish. The next piece I have to show you is Once Upon a FairyTale Max Color. Artwork is by Aimee Stewart, and it's charted by Heaven and Earth Design. And I thought I stitched a lot more on this one than I actually did. I did about 930 stitches on this, and it's sitting at 2.82%, which is not very much. I kind of stitch all over on this place because it's max color. It's got a lot of confetti, but I'm really trying to fill in this page. So I kind of stitch with a modified Stitch in Mommy's typewriter method, where I go for the, you know, the 10 by 10 block, and I try to go across the top, but sometimes I get bored, and so I'll go down the side, and then I'll just start to kind of go all over. Just depends on my mood. So yeah, I love this one, the max color. It's the only max color piece I have, and it is a lot of confetti. It's 25 count easy grid, easy guide, 1/1 full cross. The next piece I have is All Hallows Eve by Joan Elliot. And again, I didn't stitch on this at all this year. I'd like to start moving this one towards a finish too, though. It's I started on September 5th, 2020. It was my birthday start. The fabric is a 32 count opalescent. It's another one of those mystery colors. It was just when I was learning how to dye. Probably the closest color would be, I'm blanking, Leaf Pile or Tumbleweed. And I'm just using the called for DMC, mostly 310 with a little bit of orangey yellow. I can't remember the color, 7 something. My next piece is And a Forest Grew by Rosewood Manor. And this is one of my 2 big, huge samplers of this style. I started this on September 7th, 2020. So what happened was, you know, we all know 2020, but it was my 40th birthday that year, and we were supposed to go on a trip. It was my 40th birthday, our 15th anniversary. And we were going to go on a trip to Norway and Sweden and just do the whole Norwegian loop. And obviously we had to cancel. And so I decided to bleach my whole head blonde and dye it funky colors and start a whole bunch of projects. So I have a lot of projects I started in September that year, really big ones. And I actually finished a couple of them this year, which is awesome, but I still have quite a few left. Here's this. Again, I didn't work on this at all. I didn't really iron it either because it took me a really long time to prep for this video. So the early stitches, these first, I don't know, 10 or 15, you're not really going to see a lot of ironing because I was running out of time. But I didn't stitch on this one this year, and I did that consciously because of my next project. I decided that I needed to finish one of these big sampler style floral-y things, and I chose the next one, which is Consider the Lilies by Heartstring Samplery, and I started this one on September 10th, 2020. And a Forest Grew is 28 count Cashel. It's just undyed. This one I'm also stitching on 28 count Cashel. It is dyed in the Meadow colorway, which I honestly haven't dyed again, other than I dyed a piece for Zan, Crazy Band Lady Stitches to start. Let's see if I can get this all in the frame. I'm probably going to put the before picture up now so that you can see, and then, did I get it all? I can't even see. I stitched on this one a little. I honestly couldn't tell you how much progress I made because I don't keep track. But my goal was I stitched all the way down this side to the middle, and then I wanted to stitch the verse. So I stitched all the way across. I maybe finished a page over here on this side. And what I'm trying to do, well, I got distracted in the middle by Adam and Eve and their tree. And so I stitched extra on those pages. And then what I'm trying to do is not cut a motif. So when I stitch the page, like the page probably cuts off like here. And so I would stitch the whole tree. If it cut off down here, I would stitch the bottom of the motif down below, so that when I go back through at the end, I don't have to stitch as much to get a page finished. So I'd like to keep stitching on this next year, or this year, I guess. I don't have any specific goals, but we'll see. The next piece I have is Reader's Paradise another artwork by Aimee Stewart, charted by Heaven and Earth Designs. I started this one on September 12th, 2020. And this is the last piece I have from those birthday starts I did. And I stitched on this one quite a bit this year. I did 3,514 stitches, and I'm at 3.6%. It's a really big chart. And I'm stitching at 1/1 on 25 count easy guide. And I actually got a page finish up in here. I finished this whole page, and then I'm working on finishing this page next. I have to work a little more down there. But I love the details on this. Even it's not max color like the Once Upon a Fairy Tale is, but the details are still awesome. But it's a lot of beige, and so that's why I started working in the blue down here. I think I did this last year, but because I got a little beiged out, and I needed some color in my life. So I think I don't have a specific goal, but I definitely want to work on it, and I want to start stitching on these bookshelves down here, which is probably going to be a lot of confetti, but it'll be worth it. The next piece I have is Mini Realm of Enchantment, artwork by Ann Stokes, charted by Heaven and Earth Designs. It's a retired chart. I started it on November 2nd, 2020, and I'm stitching this for my daughter, Noelle. She's 12 now, so I don't know how much fairy and unicorn she still is, but, oh, I have more. She said at the beginning of last year that she still wanted it, so I tried to get the pieces I'm stitching for my kids and my husband into my regular rotation this year as much as I could when I had a regular rotation. I stitched 8,533 stitches on this year. And this is another one of those ones where I'm stitching the typewriter method, but I can't decide if I want to go that way or that way. So I kind of just do a little bit of both. The next piece is Frozen, or technically it's called Anna and Elsa. It's by Aurora CS. And I tried to find her shop. She used to be on Etsy, and then she went off of Etsy onto another site, and I can't find her anywhere anymore. But this one I'm stitching for my daughter Genevieve. I stitched her the Beauty and the Beast piece by Aurora CS already. I started this one on November 15th, 2020, and I stitched 3,875 stitches on this year, and it's 17.1% complete. The mini Realm of Enchantment, you know what? I know why I feel like I didn't stitch that much. It says I stitched 8,533, but what I actually did was I cropped it. And I took out this tree right there. And so I'm only stitching there over, because that's just a lot of dark and I don't really want to stitch it. I'd rather give it to my daughter. So anyway, so I didn't stitch 8,500 stitches, but I removed 8,500 stitches from the process, and I did stitch on it. Anyway, this one I did stitch 3,875 stitches though. This is such easy stitching with all the blocks of color. It's actually a really nice relaxing stitch, which is probably why I had so much progress on it. The next piece I have is God Shed His Grace. This one is charted by Cross Stitch Studio. It's also charted by Artisy, I want to say. Leann from Small Town Stitches is also stitching it, and she's stitching the other version. This is a mega piece because it's 869 by 583, so it's got a total of 506,000 stitches. So I think I figured out in my stitching group that if I stitch 400 stitches a day on this, I'll finish it in 10 years. So, you know, retirement stitching. I did stitch only 883 stitches on this year. I thought I stitched a whole lot more, in all honesty. And again, sometimes I go out that way, sometimes I go up that way. I think I went up this way this year. And I tried to fill in to get a page finish. I don't remember if I did or not. I started that on November 28th, 2020. And that one and Mini Realm of Enchantment and Frozen are all on 18 count Aida, I think. The next piece I have is Nevermore by Lila's Studio. And I started this on 12/31/2021, and I did a conversion of the flosses, the fancy flosses in that, to my floss, We actually sell thread packs in the shop. Here's the conversion. It's very moody, and then you've got that like bright pop of teal, or deep, deep dark teal, but still. I didn't get any progress on this year. I didn't have any plans to, but I'd really like to finish it and put it up in the shop. We moved to a new building in July, which is part of the reason why I haven't filmed a lot. It's been really busy, but I'd really like to get this finished so I can put it up at Halloween. So there's that. I'm stitching it on a 32 count Morning Mist, I think, that we dye Everbin fiber. And then next piece I have is Royal Holiday by Mirabilia. This was my very first Mirabilia that I ever started on September 5th, 2021. It was my birthday start. And I didn't touch this last year, and I didn't touch it this year until the very end of the year when I decided that I wanted to stitch on all of my Christmas pieces. And I fell in love with it all over again, and I stitched a lot. I finished this in here. I finished the candle. I think I finished her arm, and I don't think I had any of this done until this year. And the reason why I didn't stitch on it last year, well, there's a couple reasons. It's because I had another Mirabilia Miss Christmas Eve that I was stitching with Sarah from Memphis Sarah E, and I really wanted to finish it. We had a goal together to finish it, so I worked mostly on that one, and I did finish it, and it's amazing. I can't wait to get it framed. And then, and so I didn't really want to stitch on two Mirabilias, but the other reason is because I made a mistake in here when I very first started, and stupidly I didn't go back and fix it. So there's like an extra stitch in here, and it drives me bananas. And so I just put it away. And then when I brought it back out, I decided that I was just going to leave it alone. And there's plenty of stitching to do up at the top, and with her big red coat down here, that the mistake over here won't even matter. So I've been focusing on that again, and I'd like to make some significant progress on this next year because Mirabilia came out with another Christmas piece. I'll try to find it and put it up here. I'm on the wait list for the bead pack, and because the Krynics, you know, Krynic got bought out by Rainbow Gallery, and it's hard to get them right now, but I want to stitch that, but I know for a fact that if I start that when I'm still stitching Royal Holiday, I will ignore Royal Holiday again. So my goal is to make some significant progress on that and hope for a finish maybe in 2026, and then I can start the other one. We'll see. The next one I have is Vintage Black Sampler by Owl Forest Embroidery. I started this with Sam from Sammy Liz. On January 1st, 2022, it was a new year, new start, and the original goal was to stitch 2,000 stitches a month and finish it in the year. Obviously didn't happen because it's now January 1st, 2024, 2 years later, 2025, 3 years later, and I didn't stitch on it at all last year. However, we did something fun with this, and we are not stitching it in black. I always forget the fabric. This is a 28 count mystery even weave that I got in a box from something. And I'm stitching it with leftover bits of fancy floss. Mostly it's model stitches, but some of it is stuff that I've gotten in boxes. And I stitched the house blue because it reminds me of a blue house I used to drive past all the time when we lived in New Jersey. And then I have Willy Wonka, and I have Mary Poppins, and then that lamp is just gold just because, and same with that. And I just thought these were pretty colors. That is modeled after Big Ben. That is the owl from Winnie the Pooh. Around the World in 80 Days balloon. That was the hardest to convert, but I really love the way it turned out. And then that's the Goodyear blimp, and that's Bartman. And then I have Garfield on top of the house. I really love stitching on this. It just takes a lot of brain power to convert. So I don't always gravitate towards it. There's 23,376 stitches, and I'm at 28.14%. So, I mean, I'm a third of the way done, so I could, you know, we'll see how it goes. The next piece I have is A Year in Stitches by Victoria Sampler. I'm gonna put their name up there because I totally blanked. Oh, yeah, the Victoria Sampler. This was a free stitch along in their group. They do one every year. This is the only one that I've actually started. I've just collected the patterns on the rest of them, but you can now buy it. Once the year is over, you can buy it in their shop. And I love the way they do this. They call it their creative stitches or their creative patterns, and they just give you an idea of what colors to use, and there's lots of specialty stitches, and they're really fun to stitch, but again, it takes brain power. So I'm stitching this on a 28 count Cashel 2/2. I don't remember the name of the color, but I know I dyed it. It could be a Morning Mist. And I'm just, again, using leftover Fancy Floss remnants for this. Same as the vintage black sampler. And I didn't stitch on this either this year. I started that also on January 1st, 2022. I keep saying I'm going to stitch it month by month. And then I've stitched through April, but by the time May comes around, I'm so busy because market has just happened and I'm usually trying to dye up orders. And then this year I'm doing a yarn wholesale show in May. So we'll see if I get to it, but I would really like to finish it at some point. The next piece I have is Winter Montage. This is by artwork by Janet Stewart. It's charted by Pain Free Crafts, and it's a series of 4. And there are other people who chart this too that are smaller and not like big full coverage. I started this, I think, did I say that? February 4th, 2022. I actually worked on this one quite a bit this year. That's where I'm at. It's 28 count easy grid 2/1/2 cross. This is my first 10 stitch project, and I always felt like my brain couldn't go that way, that it's not a full cross, so it's not cross stitch. And then the more full coverage YouTubers, Flosstubers that I watched do half crosses, I'm like, maybe I should just try it. And I totally fell in love with it. And after this start, you will start to see a lot of 10 stitch. I stitched 2,126 stitches on this in 2024, and I'm probably going to stitch on it for the next month or two, a little bit here and there while it's winter. Like I said, it's a seasonal piece, and I have 2 others started, and I want to start the summer one as the last one I haven't started. I want to start that one this year and kind of rotate them in the seasons. I'm actually thinking I want to do a whole seasonal rotation this year just to see how it goes, because I feel like I'm kind of a different person from season to season based on what's going on in life, and I feel like if I better let my stitching reflect that, I might feel like stitching more often on those times where I don't gravitate towards the project. I said, well, it's July, and in January you said you were going to stitch on this, and I don't know if I'm explaining that very well, but okay. The next piece I have is Spring Montage by Janet Stewart, charted by Pain Free Crafts, and I'm stitching this again on 28 count 2/110 stitch, and I didn't stitch on this one at all this year because spring is busy season for me with market and all that, and I don't get a lot of stitching in. I started this on March 19th, 2022, and it's sitting at 0.6%. The next piece I have, I don't have the cover sheet, so I'll put it up here. It's The Moons of 2022 by Kathy Barrick. I started it on June 13th, 2022, and I did a lot on this one this year. I tried to take it out on the full moon every month, and I try to actually stitch on it for 3 days, the day before and the day after the full moon, because chances are one of those days I won't get very many stitches in. So there it is. I stitched a lot on the bottom this year. I don't know how much of the bottom I started with, but I know I made a lot of progress on it. Maybe from the middle over. I don't know. It's a lot of fun to stitch on. It's a 28 count, no, it's a 32 count Evenweave, another piece that I just was practicing dyeing on. And I'm using the called for silk NPI. Just I splurged, and why not? The next piece I have is Kringles. I'm blanking on who stitches it, who designed it. I will put it on the screen, and I will also put a picture on the screen of what it's gonna look like, because it's in a plastic cover and I didn't want to take it out because I was being lazy. Remember, I said it took a long time to prep for this. I started this on July 1st, 2022 with Sarah from Memphis, Sarah E. And we were gonna start, I did break it up into 13 pieces. I can show you that here too. And we were going to start December 1st. We were going to, you know, take a year and finish it. But then we started a bunch of other stuff, and yeah, I don't know. Someday we'll finish it. But I did get progress on it. I stitched on this during, like I said, I wanted to stitch on all my Christmas projects this December. So I finished out this first block. I actually spent quite a few days working on it, and it was really a lot of fun to stitch. I still have to do this dude's face because it's color 945 and I didn't have any. I think that's what it is. I had to go to Hobby Lobby and get some, and then I just never went back to it. So yeah, I am stitching this on a oopsie piece of fabric. It's Granite by Forbidden Fiber. It's 36 count, and I'm stitching it 2/2, which actually when I came back to it, this shows you how your stitching changes over the years, because I started this in 2022. And in 2024, me would have stitched it 1/2. And so when I came back and started stitching it, I started stitching, I think, this garland right here. And I did it with just one thread. And then I was looking at it, I'm like, that's really sparse compared to the rest of it. And I had to go back over it and do another X because I didn't want to tear out 1/2 on such a small detail. But yeah, I did convert some of these where the fancy flosses are. I converted them to Forbidden Fiber. So like the bricks are my favorite. I'll just show you that one. My really fancy thread drop with is a safety pin, so it's kind of hard to turn. It's not really coming out very well, but you can kind of see the variegation, but you can really see it in the bricks, how it variegates. And I love the way it's coming out. Love, love, love. I've got some other fancy flosses in here, but that's the color palette. I don't know if that's all of it or if that's just what I've picked out so far, but the next piece I have is the Old English Walled Garden by Chatelaine. I'm gonna have to put a picture up of it here because I don't have a paper copy. I didn't stitch on this at all this year. Again, I think this is my second year not stitching on it. I started it August 3rd, 2022. And I was doing Chatelaine Wednesdays. I started it with Sarah from Memphis, Sarah E. You'll notice a pattern. I start a lot of things with Sarah. And it's using all the called for. I bought the kit from European Cross Stitch, and it's on a 28 count waterfall Lugana that I dye at the studio. And I started with the gate because that's what the instructions tell you to. And then I didn't do the partial stitches right. And then I tried to back stitch it and it just wasn't coming out. I didn't love it. So then I started stitching down here and then I just put it away and I haven't picked it back up. So I'm trying to devise a plan this year to pick up all of the projects that I wouldn't normally pick up in a rotation, just so I can see some sort of progress. And I'm not sure if I'm going to do a WIP Go wheel for that or WIP Go board for that yet, or just make a wheel or what. I'm still trying to think through that. But yeah. The next piece I have is another one I didn't stitch on this year. It is the Dark Queen of the Earth by Autumn Lane Stitchery. I'm going to have to post a picture here because I don't have one. It was a mystery sale. So, and again, I did not stitch on this year, and the reason is because I don't like either of the faces that they designed. They're fine, they're just not for me. And I tried to chart one. I tried to combine the two, in all honesty. I like the brown face, but I love the hair of the green faced one. And Erin's charting is masterful, and I just could not do it. So I've seen tons of amazing ones. I haven't wanted to ask anyone if they would share their charting. I don't know if that's something you do or don't do, but so I've just kind of getting stuck on it. And I loved stitching it. I loved everything about it, and the faces just got me stuck. And so I'd really like to get back to this and at least do the other stitching on it until I figure out what to do about the face and the hair. Anyway, I'm stitching this on a 32 count Belfast with all the called for DMC, I don't remember the name of the fabric. It's not Parliament. It's like Parliament. I'll have to put the name up here. And it's, we dyed in the studio, Forbidden Fiber Co. The next piece is Around the World in 80 Days. It's by RETM. I started this with Sarah from Memphis Sarah E on September 25th, 2022. I'm stitching it on a 25 count Lullaby that I dyed. I did not stitch on this at all this year. We did a whole conversion at market that year from DMC to Forbidden Fiber Co flosses. I didn't keep the thread pack to show you because it's huge. And that's all the progress I've made on it. So again, I want to make more progress on this year. I just have to devise my plan. The next piece is Deck the Halls. And it is by Crow's Feet Stitching. And I started this with a group on December 1st, 2022. It was an Instagram chat group. I found out about it, I want to say from Mel Rouvray. She asked me to do a conversion into Forbidden Fiber Co flosses, so I did. And there it is. It's kind of all a mess. And I loved it, so I decided I was going to start it too. And I'm stitching it on Winter Sparrow by Forbidden Fiber Co. It's a 36 count, and I'm stitching this one 1/2. So apparently this 2022 me could stitch 1/2. I think because it's more samplery, and so I felt like the coverage that's not as full would look okay because it's kind of vintage. And I did work on this one this year. Mostly I did this border, and I had this slated for a finish this year, and I really thought maybe I would do it in December when I picked it back up with my Christmas pieces, but the border took a lot longer than I thought, and I really wanted to get to my other Christmas pieces. And then once I started on Royal Holiday, I kind of got stuck on her and I never went back. So I guess that's how it goes. The next piece I have is Plum Street Sampler. This is the day. This was part of my 12 by 12 on New Year's Eve in 2022. I did 6 new starts and worked on 6 WIPs. And this was one of the new starts. I started to convert it into Forbidden Fiber Co flosses. I only did the house colors so far. But look at those, it's so pretty. And pink, and I don't even like pink, and I think it's amazing. I'm stitching this on a 40 count Waterfall by Forbidden Fiber, and I have had 0 progress this year. I didn't really have any plans to stitch on this year. I would have liked to do some sort of progress, but didn't happen. The next piece is another 12 by 12 start, Beautiful Things by leann.stitches. And I love this, but I didn't stitch on it this year. I again started a conversion to Forbidden Fiber Co flosses. Look at those colors. I mean, they're just so rich. Love it. I love deep colors. And I'm stitching it on, I want to say this is Primrose. I did not stitch on it at all this year, so I just have that one word. It's very sad. The next piece is another 12 by 12 start, Memories of the Past by Hands Across the Sea. It's massive, and again, I did not stitch on it this year. It's on a 40 count Tumbleweed, and I tried to convert it into, she uses silk, and I tried to convert it into fancy floss, but I didn't have the right purple just right off the bat, and so I just went ahead and used the DMC conversion. Next is Sweet Wings Studio, Mercy and Grace, another 12 by 12 start on December 31st, 2022. I wanted to finish this year, but instead I did nothing on it. Here I converted into Forbidden Fiber Co flosses. There's the palette. Part of the reason why I'm stuck on this piece is because the white is not showing up on the fabric I chose. This is 36 count Lavender Fields. I'm stitching it, I think 1/2. I think that's one thread. And the white just isn't showing up. And so I kind of got stuck on it. And I haven't figured out what I'm going to do yet. So I would like to finish it. I had it slated for a finish for last year, but instead just didn't work on it. The next piece I have is a Parliament of Owls by Kathy Barrick. And this was my last 12 by 12 start on December 31st, 2022. I did not stitch on this year. It's on a 40 count 1/2. It's something we dye, but I couldn't tell you what it is. It looks like maybe tea dyed or not praline. Parchment. No, it's definitely tea dyed, maybe. I would tell you that, oh, my battery's gonna die. I would tell you that I'm gonna look it up, but there's no point. Oh, you know what? It looks an awful lot like Tumbleweed that I've started Memories of the Past on, so we're gonna go with that. It's Tumbleweed. The next piece is Stitchy Box Samplers, the Beatrix Potter Quaker sampler. I started this, it was my New Year, New Start in 2023. And a bunch of people started it. And I love Beatrix Potter, all things Beatrix Potter, so I decided to start it. I didn't work on it at all. It's a 40 count chosen. I'm stitching 1/2. I think it's dark cherry, but it might be garnet. It was a mess up skein where it got skeined up wrong. And so when we cut it, the lengths weren't a full yard. And I kind of haven't been stitching on it because this really isn't my colors. I really gravitate more towards blues and teals and grays, which obviously the fabric is gray. And so I've been toying with the idea of restarting it. And then I pulled it out for this WIP parade and I'm like, huh, I actually kind of do like that. And it would match my office because I've got red chairs in here. So maybe we'll stick with it. We'll see. The next one I have is the Pumpkin House by Liz Matthews. Hello from Liz Matthews. And I started this on September 5th, 2023. So it was my birthday start in 2023. And I'm using the Forbidden Fiber Co. thread pack. We have these available in the shop. And this was put together by Tiger Lilies. And it's amazing. The colors are so pretty. And I love the fact that it's stitched on 2 different color fabrics and then sewn together. I've never done a project like that before. But again, I did not stitch on this at all. This is a 40 count Silent Night from Forbidden Fiber. How many times have I said that this video? And again, no progress. I did want to finish it this year, but I just didn't get to it. The next piece I have is Touching the Autumn Sky. Let's show it the right way by Mirabilia. I started this with Sarah from Memphis Sarah E. I don't remember when. I don't have a date written down. And again, I didn't stitch on this this year. It's on, I have it on Babbling Brook from Forbidden Fiber Co. No progress. Sad. It was mostly because I was finishing Miss Christmas Eve. So, and then I did a couple of, the New Year's Eve Fairy. I finished that because I borrowed the chart from Sarah and I wanted to give it back to her. So, all my Mirabilia focus went on those 2 pieces this year. Okay, the next piece I have is Sakura Garden. I don't know the name of the artist or the charter. It was an Etsy shop. I will put it on the screen and I'll try to fill in the description box down below the best I can. I am stitching this on a 28 count corn silk by Forbidden Fiber. I'm stitching 1/1. I've only done a bunch of 939. This piece is for my son because he loves all things Japan. We're actually saving right now for a family trip that we thought we were going to take in 2025, 2026. But now we're contending with 8th grade Washington, D.C. field trips. We've got 2 of them, one this year and one in 2026. So we'll probably have to push it off another year, just scheduling wise. And maybe I'll have it finished by then. I'm not stitching the background though, which is why I put it on a hand-dyed fabric. The background was about 20 or 40,000 stitches of ecru. And this was the closest fabric to ecru we had in the shop at the time. We've got some other things now, but I kind of dig it, so why not? I'm done with the first page. The next piece I have, oh, I started that on January 31st, 2021. So we're 2024. So we're officially into my starts for this year, which there were a lot. This is Let Love Rain by Teresa Kogut. I totally fell in love with Teresa Kogut at Market this year, and I have a lot of her stuff now. I started this on February 29th, 2024. It was my leap year start, and I did a conversion because the picture on here makes this blue look like that colonial blue that's really bright, and I thought it kind of breathed life into this otherwise brown color palette. And if you're not new here, you'll know I'm not a brown fan. And so when I started pulling the flosses, that brown was actually like 930, which is more, the blue was 930, which is more of a gray. And it wasn't popping the way what drew me to it. So what I did was I converted, and I picked the blue that I felt matched the picture the best, right there. And then I found this peach and pink color scheme. I feel like I consider the Lilies. And so I converted it from there. And this was my first time converting. It's all on Forbidden Fiber Co. floss cards because that's what I have available, but it's all DMC. And so I made it bright. And I'm much happier with these colors than all the browns. So the goal with a leap year start, if you're not familiar, is that you finish it by the following leap year. I picked a really big project and I did not get very much done, but look at those flowers. Aren't they so pretty? I love the way it's coming out. This is a 46 count fabric by Forbidden Fiber Co. I thought I saved the color, but now I don't remember. It looks like a parchment, maybe. No, maybe, I don't know. A tannish brown of some sort. I'm helpful, aren't I? The next piece I have is Eggs All Around by Glendon Place. I started this with Sarah from Memphis Sarah E on March 31st, 2024, which was Easter. And we started this knowing full well that we were not a race to the finish, but we were in a group trying to finish Sir Thomas, which I finished just before Thanksgiving, and she just finished like, I feel like New Year's Eve or something. And so the plan was to start this on Easter and then break it up into 12 parts and stitch it this year. And then we got sidetracked. That one's coming up. But I did start it. I'm using all the called for materials. So this is a 28 count chrysalis Cashel linen by Picture This Plus. And I just did most of the first egg in the middle. It's this egg, but I didn't have all of the DMC. And I had to wait for Hobby Lobby to open. That's the closest craft store we have. And I got it, and I had planned to stitch those last stripes before putting it away, but it never happened. I'm not sure if I'll get any work on that this year. Maybe I'll do a little bit at Easter time because I like the idea of having like Easter projects. But we'll see. The next piece I have is also an Easter start of March 31st, 2024. And I started this one because I really felt like, you know, I have so many Halloween pieces and Christmas pieces and fall pieces, and I didn't have any Easter pieces. And if I was starting one about Easter eggs, I really felt like I should start one about Jesus. So I started this again, March 31st, 2024. I don't remember if I said that already. It's artwork by Donna Gelsinger, charted by Heaven and Earth Design. It's called He Is Risen. And this is the full chart. There's a few people stitching this, and they're stitching the mini one, but I went full bore because why not? And this is a 28 count easy grid, and I'm stitching it 2 over 110 stitch, I think. Yeah, 2 over 110 stitch. I got, I did 1,500 stitches on this, and it's 0.7% complete. The next start I have, I actually filmed a Flosstube after starting this, buzzing of the day, but I totally forgot to include it in there. I started this on May 1st for Zan, Crazy Band Lady Stitches, her birthday sal. It's Zan's B-Day sal, B-E-E day. And so this is a 40 count, I want to say chosen. And I'm just using the called for. It's by Teresa Kogut, if I didn't say that already. And then the next one I started is A Beautiful Place. And this is the start that made me join this group. And we started as, our chat group was called A Beautiful Place Sal, but then we started starting a lot of other things together, and we just talk about a lot of different stuff. And so we've renamed the group into Stitch Sisters, and I couldn't possibly name everyone in the group, but it's Vonnie from, her Instagram is My Stitch Diary, her YouTube is Thread the Needle, I want to say, and Leann from Small Town Stitches, and Stay Stitches, and Nina from Nina Hobby Site, and Ebony from, oh, I can't remember her, Flosstube. I'll post as many as I can down below, but it's such a fun group, and pretty much everything I've started from this point forward, it's all their fault. It's no longer Sarah's fault, it's their fault. All right, so this is A Beautiful Place. It's by Stitches So Beautiful. I don't know who the artwork's by, but I pretty much from here on out, I didn't print out any cover pages because I just started things so fast. This one we started on June 20th, 2024, and I stitched 2,002 stitches for 1.87%. I'm doing it on a 28 count, 2/1 10 stitch. Some of the women stitching this have made amazing progress, and it is so much fun to watch. Oh, and I had to show this little tote. I joined Gear on Toten Bags Bag of the Month Club, and my first month was Saturday. Zan, Sarah, and I actually went down to their new brick and mortar in Alabama. We took a road trip, and I decided to join their bag club. And the first month was September, which was my birthday month, and they sent me this little one that matches the big one for the month. And I'm keeping the Beautiful Place in this bag because I started stitching my full coverage with just my master set, and look, it fits in there. It's just so cute. Look, it's perfect. I feel like I need to go get a bunch more of these so that I can put all of my full coverage stitches that I'm stitching from a master set in them because it's awesome. They don't take up any room. Okay, the next start for the year is The Reader by Primitive Hair. I bought this at Market. Primitive Hair is always in the room next to me, and so I always drool all over all her stuff, and I couldn't pass this one up. I couldn't pass this one up because it's books. I like books. So Sarah, Zan, and I all started a needle book when we were at Gear on Stitchery in Alabama, and I picked up this fabric there. So here's my start. And this is Winter Frost 30 count linen by the Primitive Hair, which is not the called for fabric, but I liked it. So I did a conversion on this because it's very sepia with lots of blacks and grays. And while I love a good gray, I was in the mood for color. And so I just pulled from my stash. There's my tag that tells me what color fabric it is. I just pulled from stash and I picked those colors. So we'll see how it goes. So I started that on July 13th, which was the day we were at Gear on Stitchery. On August 24th, 2024, I started Autumn Montage. And I guess I didn't print out the thing, so I'll put it up there. Again, 28 count easy grid, 2/1 10 stitch. And I got 2,077 stitches done on this one. The next piece I started was on August 30th, 2024. I blame this one on Jamie from Crafty Gaming Jamie because she's stitching on it. It's the Disneyland Map, but it's called like Cartoon Map or something like that on Etsy. And I'm gonna have to put the name of the shop on the screen because I don't remember. I'm stitching it on a 28 count Babbling Brook from Forbidden Fiber 1/1, and I decided to start right in the middle with the castle. And the reason why I started this one when I did is because for my birthday, my husband and I went down to Disney World for our first solo trip. in a long time, at least 8 years since I was pregnant with my third child. So I figured a trip to Disney World needed a start. The next one I have is the Hobbiton. I started this on November 30th, 2024 with Leann from Small Town Stitches. It was from the Stitch Sisters group. That's where she got me with it. She's an enabler, let me just tell you. I stitched 1,062 stitches on this and it's at 0.46%, but this one is fun. You can't, the colors really aren't coming out. The blues, they're all like teals and they're blends. So this is the first project I ever stitched full coverage with blends. And I love it. And again, I can't remember who charted it because I didn't print out a cover page. So I'll put it on the screen or put it below or something. The next start that I have is Sleigh Ride by Praiseworthy Stitches. And I'll put a picture up here. There's my start. I started this with Sarah from Memphis Sarah E and Zan from Crazy Van Lady Stitches. And we have a hashtag. It's called Sleigh Ride Sal. I want to say 2024 maybe, but I'm not entirely sure. So I'll put it on the screen. And we fell in love with this chart at market. We're all stitching it on a 36 count Silent Night by Forbidden Fiber Co. 1/2. And when we talked to Praiseworthy Stitches at market, she said she started on the bottom and did all the white first and then did the cry neck. And this is a blending filament and it's the devil. There's no other way to say it. I hated it. So I'm going to convert the other blending filaments into probably silk lame because I love it. There's a red border that goes all the way around, like right here, this line. And I've already got that one. So that's why I haven't gotten any further, is because I made it as far as I could with that green blending filament and I just had to put it down. Plus I had more new starts to do. And like I said, I was trying to stitch on all my Christmas pieces. So we have this one. I broke it up into 13 pieces. I'll put that on the screen too. And the goal is to finish it by next Christmas. We'll see how it goes though, because that bottom white might take me a lot longer than the 2 months that I slated for it. The next piece I have is Silent Night. I started this with Leann from Small Town Stitches on December 18th, 2024. I'll put it up here. It's from Artisy. This was my first Artisy pattern and I just got a lot of background sky. There's the blues in here though are just amazing and they're never going to come out on screen the way they should. But yeah, there's a lot of sky in this piece and I've gotten to the point where I don't really like stitching background. I really want things to happen, which you'll really get to see on my next chart. But with the Northern Lights and the fact that we saw the Northern Lights this year, which was a bucket list item, and that was one of the reasons why I was so disappointed we didn't get to go to Sweden and Norway and all that in 2020, was because I was finally going to get to see the Northern Lights, and then I got to see them in my backyard. So yeah. And then, oh, I did 1,073 stitches on that for 0.28%. It is a large chart. It's almost 400,000 stitches, because why not? And then my last project, my last start of the year, is 'Twas the Night Before. And again, I didn't print out a cover sheet, so I can't tell you who it's by or where I got it. I think I got it from Heaven and Earth Designs. So I'll put, you know, the artwork up there. And I started this on Christmas, 12/25/2024, and I put in 1,073 stitches. And there's just so much detail. And the reason why I started this was because I decided to UFO Santa's Workshop. I really was on the fence about it last year. It was just so dark and some of the details just didn't feel like they got charted. And then in my stitch group, chat group, someone said that people were posting and the elves' faces were orange, and it got caught up in that whole 08-09 debacle. And I just wasn't having good feels about it. And then this one came out and I said, that's it. That's what I'm going to replace it with. It's even as gigantic as Santa's Workshop. So this one I'm stitching 2/1 tent stitch on 25 count easy grid. And this way, the other Santa's Workshop, I was stitching 2/1 full cross on 18 count. And so this way, this will be a little bit smaller and it's tent stitch versus full cross. So it'll go a little bit faster. So we'll see. And I actually had one more start on Christmas. I started the Reindeer by Cottage Garden Samplings and I finished it. I stitched straight through for like 6 days and finished it, and I'll put a picture up here because I didn't bring it in with me. But that is everything. Like I said, I don't have my plans for 2025 nailed down yet. I think I'm going to do some sort of seasonal stitching rotation, and I'm going to kind of nail it down as I put all my projects away and organize them into bins and whatnot, and see how it goes. Hopefully I'll get some more regular filming in this year. I usually make it till February or March, and then it kind of goes kaput. We'll see. Anyway, thank you for watching, liking, subscribing, and all those fun things. And here's to a wonderful 2025 full of lots of stitching. Bye.